Good afternoon, everyone, and hello again. This is Charles Green. I think we now have a forum to get started with the webinar. So firstly, many thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule today to join this call. My name is Charles Green, and today we're going to be examining the emerging world of FinTech. That's the combination of finance and technology. We're going to look at some of the key trends, as well as provide a case study of how one financial provider decided to use augmented reality to differentiate their offerings in the market. I'm part of the marketing team here at Bellatrix. I'm responsible for creating a lot of the content that we develop here, but I'm also delighted to be joined by a couple of our experts here, Silvana Gaia and Arturo Gamara. Silvana, do you want to introduce yourself briefly to the audience?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Charles. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Silvana Gaia, and I am the Director of Client Engagement here at Bellatrix. I am a system engineer, and I joined the company in 2002 as the 9th developer of the company. And today I use my technical background and the knowledge of Bellatrix portfolio to assess our clients, and I act as a broker between the sales team and the professional services team.
Excellent. Thank you, Silvana. And Arturo?
Hi, thank you for joining. This is Arturo Gamara. I'm a iOS senior developer here in Bellatrix. I have been working here for a year. I usually work with financial applications like mobile banking and also other applications for iOS and that look for ER components and that kind of applications.
Excellent, thank you. So the agenda for today is pretty straightforward. I'm going to start by outlining some of the key trends that we see which are driving the emergence of FinTech. I'm going to highlight how new FinTech firms are creating powerful customer experiences to differentiate themselves from traditional financial service providers. Then I'm going to hand over to Silvana, who's going to talk about one particular case study where we used augmented reality to create such a powerful experience. She's going to discuss what is augmented reality and the business case as to why this financial company decided to invest in it and then to create it. And then Arturo is going to follow on and discuss some of the technical details about how we actually went about and created this augmented reality solution. I should mention firstly that we do want to keep this open, this presentation, so please do feel free to ask us questions. You can do that in a couple of ways. You can do that firstly by asking a question in the chat box on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, but you can also ask us a question using Twitter, using the hashtag Bellatrix FinTech BSF, and we will also be live tweeting during the webinar as well, so you can follow along on Twitter as well as listening to the presentation. But jumping straight, without further ado, into the meat of the presentation, I want to firstly, let's look at some of the key challenges for financial organizations today. What are some of the demand and what are some of the drivers that are resulting in this emergence of FinTech? And it's what we can really see is that the financial services industry has traditionally been one of the most technology-intensive industries, but the speed today of technology change and the business developments that this has fostered has left many companies, even in financial services, floundering and struggling in the face of really a rapidly changing landscape. So whether you're a bank, an insurance provider, a credit card company, or a payment provider, technology is driving fundamental change in your sector. And this is particularly the case because the financial services industry has in the past been characterized by delivering poor user and customer experiences. The industry has been characterized by a lack of efficiency, where the high costs are passed directly on to consumers. Anyone who is used to making international money transfers, for example, can attest to that. And finally, many of the products that banks and financial service providers have created have rarely had the customer at the front of their mind. It's been a case of what works best for them and not the customer. The customer's often been an afterthought rather than being the key focus of attention. And as a result, we're seeing the emergence of FinTech, this combination of finance and technology. Now, these FinTech startups, as well as a few of the incumbent financial providers, are today characterized by an agile, data-driven analytics approach to financial services. They're companies which put the customer at the forefront of absolutely everything that they do, creating powerful new customer experiences. And these companies include those such as StreetShare, which offers peer-to-peer lending for small businesses, to TradeRiver, which provides an online platform for cross-border financial transactions. The emergence of FinTech is also resulting in shifting competition for traditional banks. So you see companies ranging from Klarna to Square to the Lending Club, as well as a few slightly more established companies here, such as Apple Pay and PayPal as well, which are also disrupting the landscape of payment providers. And what all these companies are doing really is challenging the existing and mainstream notions of finance. It's really an industry at the moment which is ripe for disruption. And this new world has seen massive investment. Funding for insurance technology startups, for example, more than tripled last year compared to 2014. So now what I want to do is to a few moments to explore how this is happening and in what ways this is happening. So looking at the next slide, I don't want to be to overly simplify what is a dynamic and changing situation, but I think what we see in the research which we do here at Bellatrix and in the discussions that we have with our customers, that it's clear that there are three main areas which are resulting in this FinTech revolution. And firstly, we can start by looking at what is the impact of data, and we can see that the enhanced data and analytics are transforming the financial experiences. The future of financial services is all going to be about data and which firms can best use data and analytics to provide better services to their customers. Data is going to enable more relevant, more proactive, and more predictive services. Secondly, we can see that peer-to-peer is cutting the margins and the profits of traditional banks. How can a traditional company such as JP Chase, for example, compete with companies which are able to lend faster and at a lower cost than they can? And you can see here companies which we've already mentioned, companies such as the Lending Club or StreetShare, and how they're able to use big data to improve, for example, their credit underwriting capabilities, or to determine who are they best able to lend to, and how they can perhaps reach other constituents who have traditionally been ignored by traditional lenders. They're also significantly faster. For example, a loan request for a small business may take just minutes for some of these new FinTech companies compared to weeks for a traditional bank. And thirdly, we see the new payment technologies are creating a vibrant field of providers. You can look at companies such as Apple Pay and PayPal, some of the better known examples, but there's a myriad of other companies out there. You can think about Square, which had its recent IPO, and these companies are emerging because they promise to make it easier for customers to make payments. And many of these companies are really putting their traditional competitors to shame with their focus on the mobile experience and visibility into real-time networks. So those three are some of the key dynamics you see taking place, but at the core of those three dynamics is the focus on the customer experience. How can you create better, more compelling, more addictive, and more powerful customer experiences that help customers do the tasks that they're looking to do? And if you're looking at the next slide, it's clear that there have been there are some changes which have taken place, and many organizations are looking to see how can they respond to some of these challenges. And so if you look at the FinTech challenge, what can you do? And we would recommend that you could look at what we're calling the CTO's Innovation Playbook. This is, a collection of ideas, collection of innovation enablers that can provide new ways to think about innovation. And within that, you can think of, conducting hackathons to bring together a range of different ideas to help drive and rapidly prototype at a low cost new ideas. You can think about setting up incubators, for example, where you can invest in startups and partners in a way to try and match the speed of some of these fintech firms. You could perhaps look to create your own venture capital funds. You could look to partner with fintech organizations, or even look to acquire some of these emerging companies. And again, looking again to the next slide, we can see the reason you should be considering this is because people today, and particularly millennials, are looking for a new type of financial experience. This is some data from a survey of millennials, and it found that 73% of millennials would be more excited by a new financial services offering from Google, Amazon, Apple, PayPal, or Square than their own nationwide bank. And I think it speaks very clearly to some of the dynamics which are happening, and to why why millennials and to why individuals want a different type of interaction with their financial provider. And we can see that, looking again to the next slide, we can see that banks are aware of the threats that they're facing. This is a quote from Chris Skinner, the chairman of the Financial Services Club, who says, banks are fully aware of the threats and the challenges posed by fintech companies, but it's keeping up with them that is the problem. And it's because they're aware that there are more demands coming from customers, and more and more customers are looking for new types of services. So I think this is a very good segue now into the second part of this presentation, where I want to pass over to Savannah to talk a little bit about how we went about and did that for one particular company. How did we go about and create a new type of offering, a new type of way to engage with customers for one particular financial service provider, and how we did that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Charles. So now we will go through an example of one of our fintech customers which used augmented reality to improve the customer experience of their users. Firstly, I will do a quick overview about augmented reality and some terminology around it. Secondly, I will describe the case study itself of this Latin America's pioneer in mobile payment and mobile banking solutions. And thirdly, Arturo Gamarra will explain which technology stack we had used to implement that solution. So let's move on to the first part, the augmented reality term. Augmented reality term is often confused with virtual reality or mixed reality. The term augmented reality involves a real-time view of the physical world around us, and then it is improved or enhanced by digital information. On the other hand, virtual reality creates a whole simulated world rather than our actual world around us. And finally, mixed reality combines aspects from both worlds. To illustrate that, we can see some examples. This example is from the Iron Man movie. What you are seeing is the display of Tony Stark's helmet, and it is pointing to Santa Monica's Ferris wheel, and the heads-up display has the capability to add information about that Ferris wheel. So you can see that there is a visualization of the real world with digital information added. Then we can see a second example about virtual reality. In this picture, you are seeing a sophisticated virtual reality system called CRVS, Constant Resolution Visual System, that is used at Boeing company to train their pilots. As you can see, the environment is fully created by the system. This is part of a new concept called immersive education. Google aims to encourage interest in VR and VR applications, and they had recently launched a low-cost system called Google Cardboard. It is a VR platform to use with your mobile phone, and you can use the fold-out cardboard mount for your mobile phone. So it is really low cost. Thirdly, this is an example of mixed reality. You are seeing the new Microsoft holographic headset. It is called HoloLens, and it maps the room and mixes holograms with the environment around you. So this person is playing Minecraft on his own living room. Okay, so I hope I have thrown some light into this subject, and now we will talk about the case study itself. This company offers customized solutions to top financial groups and corporations in Latin America. It enables over 5 million monthly active users to execute over 30 million transactions. So the company needed assistance in improving their architecture for their mobile payment platform, and also needed to implement their banking and payment solutions in several end customers. They wanted to use augmented reality to enhance the user experience of the customers, and we implemented an augmented reality map to help users easily locate nearby ATMs simply using their camera in their phones. This app combines a live view of a street with location-based services, and you can see the nearest ATM on the screen based on the direction the phone is pointed. We had a team of 21 engineers, including Scrum Masters, developers, and QA engineers working for them. One team was focused on backend development using Java Stack. The other team developed both iOS and Android native apps. So now Arturo will go deep into the implementation of this feature.
Hello. Hi again, this is Arturo. Well, what we did in this case, we performed a full solution from this bank. Okay, so we perform an application that solves all the part of the bank, the transaction, the security, check different accounts, switch between accounts, and register as a new user. For this, what we use different technology from the backend side and also from the mobile. From the backend, we use JBoss, MongoDB, MySQL, Java frameworks, and Jenkins. Also, for both for Android and iOS, we use some framework natives and some other frameworks that were created for for AR. For example, for iOS, we use Core Data, Cocoa Pods, and different OJTC frameworks like Location Services or Core Data Services. SQLite, push notifications, and finally, like I said, ARKit. And for Android, we use Android 4 SDK, the SQLite, the Google Maps, and also Beyond AR framework. What we did with this application is we get the location of the user. As soon as we get the location of the user, we call a service. With this service, we get all the information, all the back's location that are around him. We also calculate the distance between this user location and these points. So we finally transform these locations to a polar system, so we can show the user where are those locations pointing, or where are locations in the camera. As you can see in the graphic, we can see that there is an ATM in some place in front of you. Also, we make this calculation to see this being bigger when you are close to it and smaller when you're very far. Also, we create a radar that allows you to show where are all the other bound locations per quadrants, so the user can see where he can go. Also, we manage the heading location of the phone. In this way, we can see where the phone is pointing and where the user can go. So in this way, we update all the information as soon as the user moves around. If the user walks like 3 blocks or 5 blocks, we update the location, calling the service again, and getting all these calculations done. It was pretty simple and fast. So the user doesn't have a blank or something like he was misinterrupted by something. Pretty much that's all what we've done. The scenario was really simple and worked perfect.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Arturo. So I think what we can see here, then, we've clearly demonstrated that augmented reality is a possible solution for if you want to create a new way to engage with your customers. Then augmented reality provides you with one option, and we've demonstrated via this case study one particular way in which you can do that. Clearly, moving on to sum up really then, as in terms of recommendations, what we've done so far in the webinar is to demonstrate what are some of the dynamics underpinning the emergence of fintech. We've explored, what are some of the reasons as to why many of these smaller companies are now really challenging existing companies in the financial services space and how they're doing that. And then Silvana has explained that one way to do that is, for example, is to look at some new technologies such as augmented reality. And then Arturo finished off by explaining exactly how you can go about that and what are some of the technologies that you should be considering in order to implement an augmented reality solution. So this one I want to open up for questions. I see we've already got a few questions in the chat box, but just to remind you, if you do want to ask a question, you can do that either by writing into the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen, or you can do it, ask a question via Twitter using the hashtag FinTechBSF. And we'll be delighted to take as many questions as you can shoot to us. But I already see a few questions coming in on the chat box, and the first one is actually whilst Arturo was presenting, and the question is, what were some of did you face any particular challenges in creating the augmented reality solution? It seemed, it sounds like it went well, but did you face any particular challenges?
Yes, we face different challenges. The first challenge that we face is the calculation of the points, how the user will going to see it. What we did is transform, like I said, this location in the latitude and longitude to a polar system that calculate how distant is according to the camera and that location. So in that way we managed to show one pin is bigger than the other and that kind of stuff. It was really challenging, but we managed to solve that issue. And also the other issue was the radar. We have to create our own radar to show all the points and synchronize the radar with the camera.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Arturo. I see we also have another question, again on the chat box, which is regarding what are some of the, actually, sorry, another question coming. And this is perhaps more pointed towards Savannah. Savannah, so what is perhaps how do you see the future of augmented reality in FinTech?
Okay, I foresee that augmented reality could be used for data visualization because in FinTech we have a huge amount of data that we need to analyze, and for humans it's really hard to go and dig into that amount of data. So having really powerful visualization tools, I think that would be really helpful for FinTech companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we know that financial companies they're going to be drowning in data, and I think in many ways it's not perhaps going to be the company which can collect the most data, but it's it's the company which can best use the data to their advantage, who can pull out the insights and then act on those insights quickly and efficiently. Those are going to be the companies which are going to be the winners in the future. We have another question, which is regarding perhaps more generally about augmented reality. What do you see some of the other companies doing regarding augmented reality? Was this a one-off, or do you see other companies investing in augmented reality?
Yes, well, I think that we should get used to see more augmented reality and virtual reality system on our everyday life, because if you see giants like Apple, Google, Facebook, they had invested really heavily in augmented reality and virtual reality. You can see that Facebook had acquired Oculus Rift. Also, Microsoft has launched the HoloLens system, and also Google had acquired Magic Leap, that is a really complex display that throw lights into the user eye. So I think that there's a lot going on this subject.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think even if you look at the at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, which is taking place this week, one of the key themes coming out of the Congress this week has all been about augmented reality, virtual reality. There was the, as you mentioned, Savannah, we had, Facebook's already been pushing heavily into this direction, but they announced, the collaboration with Samsung as well to really cement their presence in the virtual reality, in the augmented reality world. So I think it's clearly a very exciting space in the future. Let's see if we have any additional questions. I see on Twitter we don't have any further questions at the moment, and on the chat box I believe we don't also have any further questions at this time. We'll just hold on just for a few more seconds, see if any final questions do come in. Perhaps whilst we're waiting, Arturo or Savannah, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with the audience?
No, just tell the attendees that if you have any further question, you can contact us directly to our emails that are shown in the screen. So we are open to and happy to answer any further questions.
Yeah, excellent, thank you. Yeah, and I would also reiterate that here at Bellatrix, we live and breathe technology. This is what we do. We love to talk about it. We love to explore new ideas and new potential avenues. What can we create? We're often conducting hackathons, for example, here at the company to explore with augmented reality or with other technology. So this is what we love to do. So if you do have any follow-up questions, if there are any ways in which you think you would like to discuss with us the potential of how we could help you develop similar type solutions, then please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be delighted to continue the conversation. But with that, I think I would like to bring the webinar to a close and thank everyone for taking the time to listen today. I hope it's been helpful and useful for you. And as mentioned, if you do have any follow-up questions, please do reach out to us. Thank you and goodbye.